It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're talking about a video from Monster Talks titled What's Really Hurting Dead by Daylight. So original video will be linked in the description, but I'm going to try to talk about a couple of points that were mentioned in this video to kind of give a reaction response kind of thing, because they do cover some interesting points, and I wanted to kind of get into it and hopefully offer a little bit of another perspective on it. Let's dive in.
Long-term community isn't having that much fun anymore as they just lose their matches due to bullshit. I mean, we can all agree that being in a chase with Billy is probably the funnest chase, right? It's fair, he has counterplay, he doesn't get to just directly M1 after messing up his chainsaw. Being in a fair chase is what I believe every survivor is owed. There is a reason why the early DBD killers and some killers added after that had those limitations and restrictions. It was to not have an overbearing killer that made the experience for Survivor miserable.
So with the point being made there, I do understand the perspective where Monster Talks is coming from. However, we do need to take into account that back then there was also a very limited amount of perks as well, so I think that the strength of the Survivor at that point was already quite powerful. And then we also have those killers that were in the base game like Billy or something like that, which was actually considered one of the weakest in the game. Trapper was pretty bad as well, I think. Nurse and was actually, I think, added in because of the infinites. So I kind of see the idea, like I kind of see the direction that we're trying to go in with this, which was like, oh, you know, we're adding a lot of ridiculous killers now. But I think that we also need to take into account that I think the state of the game has shifted into where like moving quickly, dashes, things like that are the only way that people are really going to play a lot of these characters. Just because of the state of the game, everything is extremely efficient now on Survivor, including healing and gens because of the healing and stuff like that. Second chances off the wazoo, exhaustion metas in full blast. So like we essentially end up gravitating to a lot of players, I should say, gravitate to those characters that move quickly, can get across the map and do those things. And I think that's also why the recent characters dash, move quick, do things like that, have teleports. Like that's like the new standard because of how the game has evolved since back then. So that is at least, hopefully, maybe why we're getting, you know, people, a lot of Survivor players like to claim it's a lot of BS, but it's like, you know, we have to also take into account that Survivor has plenty of BS. Like the game itself is BS. Like it's a game problem.
Now with DBD being 9 years old, survivors have obviously gotten better, and they have a plethora of second chance perks to choose from, along with a load of exhaustion perks to match. Not to mention the Survive with Friends feature, allowing your survivor buddies to disclose vital information about the killer's perks and whereabouts. When Swift was first added into the game, it was extremely controversial, as many killer players believed it to be unfair. Some of them even claimed that it was blatant cheating. To some extent, I can understand and kind of agree, mainly because a lot of killers, playstyles, and perks become borderline obsolete when playing against a team with comms trying to actually win the game. And even besides survivors having the ability to team up with comms, they now have the ability to protect themselves a lot better due to Behavior's Pallet quality of life change. A quality of life change that allows all realms to draw from the same pool of available maze tile layouts. And a change that added a crap ton of pallets to realms that needed them, and a crap ton of pallets to realms that really didn't.
I completely agree with Monster Talks on that, honestly. I would say it is I would disagree only in the extent that I would add on to what he's saying by saying I wouldn't say borderline obsolete, I would say completely obsolete in a lot of ways. You know, because if you are going against a Swift with comms that is trying to win their game, I would argue completely obsolete, but that's just like a minor nitpick. It's really just not even an argument at that point. But I just want to like add in a little bit more sauce to it to go like, nah, I think it's completely obsolete. Like totem's gone. Like you don't have perks anymore. Like you got anything, like you got stealth, that don't matter. Throw that away. You don't need that. You're not gonna have that anymore. Like like oh man. Like I would argue that Swift completely altered the entire balancing of the game, I would say, because the game is still not balanced around Swift. It's just not. It's just simply not. So it's gonna hurt across the board for a lot of low tiers, and then inevitably it bleeds into Survivor because they have to face every strong killer in the game because killer really is stuck using only strong because they don't feel like they can use anything else. Like you're getting steamrolled if you don't, essentially. And a lot of people want to enjoy their game. They don't want to improve with their killers and actually get better at the game, you know what I mean, in a lot of ways. And that in itself is its own discussion, talking about that aspect, but I'm at least speaking for very casual players when I'm talking about this topic. Which your opinion on how that goes is how your opinion, goes for that. But in this particular discussion, just as much as there's like a vast majority of casuals in Survivor, there's also a lot of casuals on Killer that also just don't want to have to think so hard when they play the game. Even though that Killer really does require you to think a lot when you are playing, despite what people say.
Thanks, Behavior. So in short, the quality of life was exclusively for survivors, allowing them to take just a few short steps to always be able to find a pallet anywhere. Of course, if they're facing an S-tier killer, that quality of life change is going to be a godsend. But here's the problem. Not every killer in the game is an S-tier killer. Nerf Pig. You see, if there's one problem that the entire community as a whole understands, is that Behavior doesn't understand their own game. There is probably nothing that pisses us off more than when Behavior comes around and fucks something up. Generally, I believe the community would be a lot happier if Behavior didn't do this on a consistent basis. Like in patch 9.1.0 when they decided to buff Clown. That was so much fun. Or when they added the most unliked killer to 2v8, which is the most fun game mode.
Honestly, if you ask me, when it comes down to a Clown buff and when it comes down to Legion being added to 2v8, I think these are things that are just completely overblown in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, okay, Clown was already a dog shit killer, okay? Terrible, absolutely terrible. Buffing a low tier, to me, is not a problem. Now, how they went about buffing the character, obviously, I would say completely just didn't even change the killer at all. And then that only adds on to why I was saying that it's still overblown completely. Because the Clown was already a low tier dog shit killer that nobody played. Then they got buffed, so a lot of people started trying that killer, which then led to people only going against that killer, which makes them hate the killer. That's pretty much what happens every single time that they add any new killer or they update a killer. That's usually the cycle that we end up seeing, is that they start playing them more, they hate it because it's, oh, I have to use my brain to actually play the game. Then they end up getting bodied, and then they have to then start complaining, and then they get nerfed again. So that's usually the cycle of the killer releases and the killer updates. Now, speaking from hearing Aaronad, especially what I would consider like the number one person to go to about Clown, who has stated, like, yeah, this pretty much doesn't do anything for this character, like, at all. It's exactly the same thing. And I argue the same thing as well. Instead of only using the pinks for everything, because nobody used yellows, because why would they, right? They proceeded to only use yellows instead of just only using pinks, and then that just didn't even change the killer at all. I'm like, that was terrible. I'm like, why didn't they try to make it so that the yellow is good enough, but also make the pink thing, better? I don't know. I'm not a game designer, but I'm just saying, why not I see the vision, right? I see the vision. I go, okay, it makes sense that they want to make this killer have, like, make them use the yellows, because you're just ignoring a full aspect of the character. And it's like, doesn't matter. Hey, so yeah, like, that's my issue with Clown, you know, the complaints about Clown. Now, when we're talking about Legion, like, are we really sweating Legion? Like, like, what is the big issue with Legion? I really have no clue. Like, I genuinely have no clue. Like, honestly, dude. Like, I've even played against the Legion in 2v8 because they forced you to basically do that for better queue time. I didn't even have a problem with it. I was like, this is just how it pretty much goes in 2v8. Like, if you want to actually have fun on the game, and it also be helpful to your teammate, you want to have a character that can keep everybody injured, because it's 8 survivors with 2 health states each. If you can run around quickly and injure them and have them healing, that'll save you a lot of time overall as a killer player, and to help your teammate who's an Oni or a Wraith or another, or like a Wesker or something, because it just makes sense to do that. Or a Blight. Because why put yourself at a disadvantage against 8 people when people have even joined in a 2v8 with 8-man Swifts on streams? Like, full 8-man Swifts and stuff like that. 4-man teams and stuff like that. We've seen that happen many times. And then the gens get rushed out the wazoo. So I personally don't think that Legion in 2v8 is that big of a problem when gen speed is crazy. Healing speed is crazy. Like, the tiles are crazy. Like, there's a ton of god pallets. Yamaoka had a pallet every 2 steps. Like, those are not even close to the other issues in the damn mode, let alone the queue time. Like, I'm like, I don't know why they're sweating Legion. Like, that's such a small amount of problem in that sense. You know what I mean?
Or when they added skill-based matchmaking to their asymmetrical horror game, Haddonfield. The list can go on and on.
Like I've told people on stream before, if they ever removed skill-based matchmaking by any means at all, like if they decided to completely remove it, I guarantee you no one is gonna have fun, because we already have no skill-based matchmaking in the PTB, and every single time somebody loads up into a match, they end up going against a fresh install or a brand new player or some casual that has no idea what the hell they're doing. And as we know that the vast majority of players are casuals that have no idea what they're doing, those people are going to get completely steamrolled. And then now you're going to lose a good majority of your players. On top of that, for people who do know how to play, they're just going to keep going against goobers that don't know what they're doing and then win, and then they're going to go, well, this is boring. Like, there's no challenge. I'm not going against anything at all, and I don't want to sit around and farm all day long. So it affects everybody. The new players are going to get steamrolled. The more experienced people are just going to keep going against goobers that don't know what they're doing, so they're not going to have fun either. Even the average players are going to either get steamrolled or have to deal with a bunch of other goobers, and then it won't be interesting either way. But the addition of having skill-based matchmaking, the reason that people even still keep playing this game is the mere fact that there is skill-based matchmaking, because it makes every match more interesting. It's arcadey because you can literally get any kind of match. You can go against anything. You can go against meta. You can go against anything. You can see anything on the map judging by the tiles. And there's a challenge. Like it or not, people do like some form of challenge when they're playing the game. If it was an easy game where you just press one button and you don't do anything else, they wouldn't play it. That's just how it works. So touching back onto this, I can guarantee, but this is obviously still anecdotal and all theoretical. But anyway, the point being, if we already have seen it within the PTB, and I don't think that it's going to be a positive thing for the community. I don't think they really understand what they're asking for. Because overall, everybody's not going to enjoy it. I think that because it was a form of matchmaking of some kind, and it wasn't just completely random, you're just taking out everything that makes the game interesting. Because metas and stuff like that is what keeps the game kind of flowing. Builds are what keep the game flowing. People trying to win their games keeps it flowing. And the second you remove that and you make it all casual for the casuals and stuff like that, you're gonna lose a good majority, because not every single player also thinks it's a little party game. Like, oh yay, like not everybody does that. Like nobody, like a good majority of people, I would assume, are not looking at the game directly like it's Mario Kart or something. Like that's just not how it works. There's too much stuff in this game. There's too much depth in this game to be able to even think anymore at this point that this is like some kind of Mario Party game. There are not people with thousands of hours of Mario Party going, wow, there's a lot of stuff in this game. It's like nobody's playing thousands of hours of Uno to go, yo, there's a lot of like depth in this game, dude. Like it's a card game. Like like a party game is obvious. Like the DVD unfortunately doesn't fall into that. But yeah, this, like, all of that probably has nothing to do necessarily with the video. I just kind of went on a tangent, so my apologies there. Of course, I'm gonna hear one more point.
It is no secret that behavior is out of touch with their own creation. What makes it worse is that they barely listen, if not at all, to their own community. There are things that got implemented years after the community has started begging for it, and changes that behavior took their sweet ass time to roll out. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but we cannot keep expecting behavior to listen to any one of us, especially after the shit they pulled during the Walking Dead Chandler Riggs live stream. On the one hand, we have to...
Yeah, I just want to quickly add that it has, like, from what I've seen in another video, they did say that a dev came out and directly stated they don't play their own game. They have not played their own game. They don't. The people that did are not a part of the team anymore. And the people that do play it, I think they just play Survivor at this point, if I'm not mistaken. That I don't know for sure, but at least I know for a fact that we've seen somebody who was a part of the team say they don't play their game, and they know that there's cheaters, and they don't do anything about it for years. Like 6 years, they haven't done a goddamn thing about it. So, like, I think they said that, like, from what we heard. Could this be true? We can only assume with the evidence provided that in that situation. But even if we don't, right? Like, even if we don't have any like concrete evidence from a dev directly, even from what we saw, we can at least know that because of, you know, behavior, they actively have no idea what the hell's going on in a lot of these things. And we can see that with these Survivor favorite updates, and unfortunately, and it's, you know, it is what it is. But that's my thoughts on the video. I kind of went on a bit of a tangent for some of it, so my apologies there, of course. You know what I mean? I think, you know, I end up kind of going off track there. But either way, appreciate you guys for being here, man. Check out the links in the description. And you'll also see the original video there as well. Hit the sub button, man. Check out those other videos, and stay tuned for my Patreon members and every other members. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hexdev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazaboo, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.